Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to solve day 4 problem on Leetcode. So this is very important problem and I have seen such problems in many competitive exams and placements and during interviews. So mark this question as important. Okay. So now without any delay, let's read the problem statement first. So in this problem we have given two strings. One is S and one is T of length M and N. And we have to return the minimum window substring of S such that every character in T, including duplicates, is included in the window. Okay, and if there is no such substring, then in that case we have to return the empty string. Okay, so here this is example 1 and this is example 2. So here in example 2 you can see that there is only one element in A. Okay, there is only one element here in T string and only one element in S. So both are matching. Then in that case, the entire string S is the minimum window. But in example 3, you can see that in T there are two A's, but the length of S is just 1. There is only one A. In that case, it is never possible that this all elements, including duplicates, are there in this S. Okay, so both A's from T must be included in the window. Since the largest window of S only has one A, we have to return the empty string. Okay, so now how we are going to solve this problem? So let's understand with this example. Okay, so I have copied this example here. So this is a string S given to us. This is a string S given to us, and there is one more string. This is T string. Okay, so this is a T string that is given to us. So here we can see that this is one window in which all the elements A, B, C are available. This is T string and this is S string. Okay, so here, see here, total 3 elements are there in T. One is A, one is B and one is C. So A here, B here and C here. So in this window all the elements of T are there in S. And what is the length here? A, D, O, B, E, C. Total length is 6. And there is one more window here. See, from C to this one, this window, all the elements A, B, C are there, right? This C, this is B and this is A. What is the length of this window? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So length is 6. And there is one more window where all the elements of T are in S. This window, this particular window. Okay, so here A is there, B is there and C is there. So what is the total length? 4 in this window. But according to this problem, we have to return the minimum window substring. What is substring? So substring is a contiguous non-empty sequence of characters within a string. Okay, so we have to return the minimum. So minimum is this B, A and C. Okay, so in order to solve this problem, we have to use two pointers. One is left and one is right. Okay, so we are going to use two pointers. One is left and one is right. And also we are going to note the initial point where our window is starting. So let's say that is start. Okay, so these three let's initialize these three first in our code. Okay, so we are going to solve step by step. So let's initialize these three in our code. Okay, so first, before solving this problem, okay, first we are going to create one array. Okay, int array, and I am going to give the size of this array as 1, 2, 3. And a reason behind it is ASCII value. So we all know that the ASCII value of small a and ASCII value of capital A, so it ends till 122. Okay, 122 is the max where all the alphabets are there till there. Okay, so that is why I have taken the length as 123. Okay, ASCII value, because after one total I think 127 are there, so after 122 I think there are some other characters, these are not alphabets, so that is why I am considering till 122, that is 123 size. Okay, so I have created one map array, and now as I have told you, we are going to create one left, one right and one start, and initializing them at 0 index only. Okay, so int left is equal to 0, right is equal to 0, and start is equal to 0. Okay, and now after that, see, this is a string t given to us, and what is the length of this string? The length of this substring is 3. Okay, so this is the length of this string, and I am going to store this in count. Okay, so I am going to create one more variable count, and in this count I am going to store the length of t string. Okay, now after that, see, I have to make sure that all the elements of t are there in S. Okay, this is what I have to make sure. So what is the best way to make sure that all the elements of t are there in S? So for that we are going to use map. Okay, because in map we can easily check that if A is the key, and if this key is there in this t, then we have found our first character of this t. So we are going to use map here. Okay, for this t elements. So I have already created this map array. Okay, and here what I'm going to do, let me write it like this. This is my map. Okay, and in this map I'm going to give keys and the values. Okay, this is a map. So map of A, what is the frequency of this A in t? The frequency of A is 1, right? So I can write it like this. What is the frequency of B in this map? 1 in this string, particular string. And what is the frequency of C? C frequency is also 1. Okay, I can write it like this, right? Now I am going to store the frequencies. So for that I am going to write one for each loop here. For char C, I am going to one by one on this t string. Okay, so to go over each character for us in a string t, so I have to convert into the char array. So t dot to char array, and in this way I am going to get the frequencies, right? MP of C plus plus. Okay, in this way I am going to get the frequencies. And also there is one more thing, that I have to make a note of this window length every time. I have to, in the end I have to return the minimum window length. In the end I need this minimum window length. Okay, so I have to make a note of this one. So for that I am also going to create one more variable in which I am going to store this is output. So I am going to store the length of this output. So for that purpose I am going to create one more variable and name that variable as sub dot length. Okay, sub underscore length is equal to, and in this we have to find the minimum. So let's store the maximum value of integer so that we can get the minimum value later on if there is any. Integer dot max value. Okay, so I hope that you guys are clear till now. Okay, now after that what we are going to do, so see, So this is the value of A1, B1, C1. Now we are going to get started with this question. So here initially left, this is a left, and this is also my right pointer, and this is a start, which is going to make sure that where is my current window starts. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I am going to first check whether this this first character in our string, is it available in our T string? Okay, is it available in T string? So for that we are going to run one condition here. So we can directly check the value here. This is a key now. So for this key we are going to check if the value is greater than 0 or not. If the value is greater than 0, then definitely this A is there in this T. Okay, so what is the frequency of A? So we are going to check the frequency of this A. Okay, so we get the value as 1. Okay, so if value is 1, then in that case the count is 3 in the starting. Okay, but now we have found this A. In this T there is one element A, and in S we also found this A. So what we are going to do, we are going to change the value of this A from 1 to 0. Okay, and we are going to decrement the count as 2, because now once we find this A, then after that we have to just find these two characters. Now there is no need of B, there is no need of A, because we have already found the A. Okay, so now this is what we have left with. We have to just find the B and C. So now after this my right pointer moves to this D. Okay, my right pointer moves to this D, and I'm going to check the frequency of D is greater than 0. No, because there is by default the frequency is 0 only, but okay, by default the frequency of D is 0. Okay, we have already here we have counted the frequencies of all the elements from 0 to 122. Okay, so by default the frequency is 0. So now we are here. So now we are going to store the frequency. Let's store the frequency of this D and decrement it. Okay, decrement it because we don't need it. Okay, we have already accessed this element. We checked whether its frequency is greater than 0, and if it is not 0, we are going to decrement it. For A also, if we found it, we have also decremented. If we didn't find D, we also decremented. So we are going to decrement every time. Okay, we are going to decrement every time when our right cursor is moving. Okay, after that I go to this O. I check the frequency of O is greater than 0. No, the frequency of O is not greater than 0. So let's decrement the frequency of O to -1. Okay, so I have decremented the frequency of O with -1. After that my right pointer reaches B. Okay, now my right pointer is at B, and I'm going to check whether the frequency of B is greater than 0. Yes, frequency of B is greater than 0. If frequency of B is greater than 0, then in that case I have found one more element. Okay, so now when I found this element, then this 2 is decreased to 0, because now I have to just find the one element, only one element, this C. So I have decremented the count as 1. Okay, and here also I am going to decrement this value to 0. Okay, because I have already found it, I have already accessed that element, so that is why I have decremented. After it, my right pointer goes here and it checks for the value of E. If the frequency of E is greater than 0, no, because in T E doesn't exist, so frequency of E is by default is 0. But here let's update this E value as well. Okay, just like every other key value. So when E, so it was 0 before, now I have decreased it to -1. Okay, after that I reach C. Now when I reach C, I check whether the frequency of C is greater than 0. Yes, it is 1. It is greater than 0. So it means that this C is there in T. Okay, so when this C is there in T, so what I'm going to do, I have told you that I'm going to decrement the count now, because there are no elements that we have to find. We have found this C as well. Okay, we have found this C as well. Okay, so now I am going to decrease this value as 0. So now you see my count becomes 0. If my count becomes 0, that simply means that I have found one window. That simply means that I have found one window in which all the elements of T are there in S. Okay, so now once I found one window, so here what I'm going to check, I'm going to check whether the length of this window is less than my subdot length. So initially subdot length is the maximum value of integer, but now what is the length that I get here? That is 6 only. So in that case my sub length is going to be updated to what is, it is going to be updated to 6 only, right? My sub of length is updated to 6. Okay, and also start, I am going to update start with the starting point of this window. So starting point is still 0. So starting point is still 0, and I found the length as 6. Length as 6 for this A to C, na, right? I have found this length. After that I am going to check whether I can shrink this window from the left. My right is here, na, my right is here till now. Okay, after that I am going to check whether I can shrink the elements from left. My left is here only, so can I shrink the elements one by one from here? Okay, can I shrink that? So for that purpose I am going to again check the frequency or at this index. What is the frequency of this character? Okay, what is the frequency of this character? So now when I am going to check the frequency of this character, if it is equal to 0, so here see, A is the updated frequency 0. If the frequency of left character is 0, what does that mean? What does that mean? That means that now I want to shrink this window, and by shrinking I mean that my left is going to be on the next element. My left is going to the next element. So if I shrink this element, okay, if I shrink this window, then my count again incremented to 1. Okay, because A is back again. Okay, so here let me erase this one. Okay, let me erase this one. Okay, so now A is back. B and C are already there. We have removed this. We are going to shrink the window. We have reduced this element. So now A is back. And my count is updated to 1. Okay, my count is updated to 1. And after that, now once I removed this A from my window, then now previously we were decrementing the value when we are moving the right cursor, but now I am shrinking the window. So this time I have to increment the value of A, because we have removed it from window. We have removed it from the window. Okay, so now I have incremented the value of here A as 1. Okay, and my left is also moved to the next place. Okay, now I see that my count is 1. Okay, count is 1 simply means that I didn't find the elements in my current window, which is starting from this point, because my left is here and right. And now I am going to, after that what I am going to do, I am going to move my right cursor. Okay, because my left is moved to here in order to shrink the window, but A is missing. So now my right cursor will say that I am going to take care of the A. So my right cursor moves here. So now when my right cursor moves here, it checks whether the frequency of this O is greater than 0. See here, O frequency is not greater than 0. So now since we are moving the right cursor, we have to decrement. We have to decrement the value of O. So now my O becomes minus of 2. Now I reaches this D. I am again going to check if the frequency of D is greater than 0. No, it is minus 1. So again I am going to increment the value of D to minus 2. Okay, increment the value of D to minus 2. Sorry, decrement. And then my right cursor moves here to E, it checks whether E's value is greater than 0. So in our E is -1, na? It is not greater than 0. So again, now I decrement the value of this E to -2. Okay. Now my right cursor moves to this B and it checks whether the frequency of B is greater than 0. No, B's frequency is 0 only. It is not greater than 0. So what I am going to do, I am going to decrement the value of B here to -1. Right? I am decrementing the value of B to -1. After that, I reaches here. And now I am going to check whether frequency of A is greater than 0. Yes, frequency of A is greater than 0. It is 1. If that is the case, then what we are going to do? We are going to decrement this frequency. Okay. We are going to decrement this frequency to 0. And here count is also going to be decremented to 0 again because we find the A. Okay. Because we find the A. Okay. So now we have found A also. Okay. We have found A also. So this is one more window. From this is the right here and left is here. So this is one big window right now. From D to A, this is one big window, and in this window all the elements A, B, C of D are available, right? B is also there, A is also there, and C is also there. Okay, we have to just consider 1B. Okay, now after that I have told you what we have to do. We have to shrink this window. This is one more window, but now from left, let's check whether we can shrink this window. So now again, since count is equal to 0, so now I am going to start with the left. So here, what is the frequency of this D? Is it equal to 0? No, it is not equal to 0. If it is not equal to 0, then I am going to increase the frequency here. So when I am going to increase the frequency, it will become -1. Okay, so since we are moving the left now, so we are going to increase. Okay, so this becomes -1 and my left moves to here. Whether the frequency of this O is equal to 0? No. So we are going to increase this to -1. Whether the frequency of this B is equal to 0? No, it is -1. It is not equal to 0. So now I am going to operate this -1. I am going to increase it. So my B becomes 0. My B becomes 0. Make note of it. My B becomes 0. Now I reaches this E. Whether the frequency of this E is equal to 0, so it is -2. So I am going to increase it to -1. Okay. My left is here now. After that, I reaches this C. Okay. This C. So I am going to check whether the frequency of C is equal to 0. Oh yes, the frequency of C is equal to 0. If the frequency of C is equal to 0, then in that case I have to again increment the count to 1. Okay, because here what is happening, if I am going to remove this C and if my left cursor moves to this next element from O, then in that case we didn't have C in this part. In this part we didn't have the C. Okay, so if my left reaches here, then my count will be incremented to 1 again, and this is going to be the missing element. This C is going to the missing element again. Okay, but we have found till now that till here one window exists till here from C, which is starting from C. Okay, and what is the starting point of this C? So we are going to make note of this starting point. Okay, so we are going to make note of, because our left is here, so we are going to update our start as left here. And what is the length? Length is nothing but 1 2 3 4 5 6. Length is 6. Length is 6 for this one also. Okay, so length is also 6 and my left is here, so I am going to update my starting point with this left. Okay, but not now. I'm not going to make my starting as left. We can take a note of it. Okay, let's do it. Our starting point is this left one. But why I'm not considering right now, why I'm saying that I don't need to consider this some start is equal to length, because this is not a minimum till now, because we previously what we find, previously we have found till here now, so its length is also 6. So it doesn't matter if we take this string or if we take this string, this doesn't matter. Okay, because both have length, same length, 6 and 6. So I can consider any one, previous one. Let me consider this previous one only. Okay, then I don't need to update because this is the old one. Only if my size is decremented from 6 to let's say 4, in that case I have to consider the starting point of that sub window. Okay, but both the windows have same size, then why to consider the starting point of the next one and not previous one? We can take a starting point this one as well, but just for according to our code we are not going to update if we didn't find any smaller window after this. Okay, so that's what. So now my left is here and I find that this is one of the substring, but when my left reaches this place, then C is not in this new window. Okay, this is no window which is starting from O to A, so C is not there and my left is here. And so now right will say that lets me take care of it because you have lost the C, so let me check it further if I can find any other. So what is going to happen, my right cursor moves here and it will check whether the frequency of this R is greater than 0, whether the frequency of this N is greater than 0. So in our map N doesn't exist, so I'm going to do, I'm going to decrease the frequency of N. We don't need UN, so we are going to decrease the frequency to -1. Okay, my right is here. After that my right reaches here, so it is going to check whether the frequency of C is greater than 0. Oh yes, the frequency of C is greater than 0 because here in the last time when we found the frequency of C here, so we have updated at that time this to 1. Okay, because this C is the only element now. If we remove this C, then C is the only element available and count is 1. So now when I reaches here, I find that the frequency of C is greater than 0, that is 1. Okay, because 1C exists. If that is the case, then in that case I have to remove this C and I have to make the count as 0, which simply means that there is one more window from this place O to C. There is one more window from O to C. So once I find that, okay, then after that I'm going to check whether I can shrink this window down. So I'm going to check whether the frequency of O is equal to 0. So O frequency is not equal to 0, then I am going to decrement it. Okay, I am going to increment it, sorry. If the frequency of O, because I am moving the left cursor now for shrinking purpose, so I am going to increment it. So I have incremented to this O to 0. Then after that I am going to check whether D frequency is equal to 0. No, it is not equal to 0. I am going to increment it to 0. Then I am going to check whether frequency of E is equal to 0. It is not equal to 0, so I am going to increment it. And then after that I am going to check whether frequency of B is equal to 0. See here, B is updated to 0. Yes, frequency of B is equal to 0. So we have found that till here there is one more substring. There is one more window in which all the elements of D are there in S. So if that is the case, then I have to return the length of this one. So length of this one is 4, and I am going to also update the starting point because this length of this substring is less than our previous sub length that we have considered at 6. Okay, so what is the starting point here? 9. So my 9 is updated as S, and 4 is going to be my subline length. Here 4 is going to be my sub length. My starting point is 9. And then I'm going to just return the substring which is starting from this 9 index and the substring which has length of 4. So in that way I'm going to get this length. Okay, so that is the just case. So here when my left reaches here, so right is going to say that let me take care of it. So but after this there is no element, then in that case we have to just return nothing. We have to just move back because we are going to get one exception because there are no elements. So this is the last result that we have found, and we have to just return this substring because this is minimum one. Okay, so this is the complete story behind this problem. So now I'm going to write the code, just follow along, and I am sure that you guys will be able to understand what I'm going to write now. Okay, and while coding I'm also going to explain one more time, one by one. Okay, so here Now we are going to create one char array. Okay, char array, and it is going to propagate from for this particular s. So we are going one by one on this elements of this string, so we have to convert this to char array as well. Okay, s2 dot char array. Okay, we are going through each character in this string, and then after that I'm going to run one while loop, and in this while loop I'm going to use my right pointer, and it is going till here, okay, till the length. So can I write it like this? While right is less than s dot length. Okay, this is my while loop because it is running till here now, till all the elements. So I am going to write one while loop, while right is less than s dot length. Okay, and now after that, inside while loop I am going to check if in map for this character right, character at right is greater than equal to 0, then in that case I have to decrement the count, and I have to increment the value of that particular character in the map, right, and I have to increment the value of right because my right cursor is moving. So here what I'm checking, whether the frequency of a is greater than 0 in my map. Yes, it was greater than 0 in our map initially, na? Because initially t is as abc, so we have found the value of a is 1, b is 1, c is 1. Okay, so I am checking here if map character dot right, so this is right, it is starting from 0, so ch of 0, so ch of 0. So what is the value of ch of 0? So ch of 0 means this a, ch of 0 a. So what is the value of map of a? Map of a value is 1, so this is greater than 0. Yes, if that is the case, we have found one element. So I have told you already, from 3 it is going to be decremented to 2, that is our count. So here count is decremented, and then I have told you that we have to decrement the value of this character. So here from 1 I am updating it to 0. So this is map ch of right, that is a, map of a I am decrementing. So here 0 is there, and then I am going to the next pointer, to the next element. So my right is moved here. Okay, so this is what we did. So I hope that you guys are clear till now. Okay, and in the else part also, if here in this case I told you that if this element, this d is not greater than this frequency is not available in this map, then we have to just decrement it, that as well. Okay, from map we don't need it, so let's decrement this value. Okay, that is why we are decrementing it, to make a note of this in map. Okay, so this we are going to check if the frequency of d is greater than 0, but we find that the d is not there in map. So what we did, we are just decrementing the count of this d to it was 0 before, now we have decremented it to -1. Okay, so map of ch of right minus minus. Okay, this d is just an example. Here we are checking for the first a element, so for a element only this will execute. But let's say if in a place there is d available, then in that case this else part is going to be executed. Okay, so just don't confuse yourself here. So here again right plus plus. So same, we are doing these two things both in if part and else part. Okay, these two are the same things we are doing in both if and else part. But if the frequency is greater than 0, in that case we are just decrementing the count. Okay, why we are decrementing the count? 3, 2, 1, 0, because when we get the count 0, that means that there is one window available in which all the elements are there. Okay, so this is else part, and here I told you that whenever our count is going to become 0, then in that case, that simply means that there is one window available. Now can I check like this? If my right minus left, whatever this value that I'm going to get here in my if right minus left, okay, in my right and minus left, whatever the value that I'm going to get, if this value is less than my initial value which I have assigned to this sub dot length, if it is less than sub dot length, then can I simply update it to the max, to the sub underscore length? Can I update? Yes, I can update. So here in this sub length I am updating as right minus, and also I have told you here that if at any point of time if I get the minimum length, then in that case I am also updating the start with the left value. I've told you this thing, hai na? Yes. So here right minus start is equal to left. I can write it like this. Start is equal to left. I have assigned the value start is equal to left here. Okay. Now this is one if part, and also one more thing that I have to check here. I was also checking if the map, this is now shrinking part. So in shrinking part, what we are checking, if from left pointer we are shrinking na. Okay, so if map character at left point, if this is equal to 0, in that case we are performing what? We are incrementing the count with 1. We are incrementing the count, and I have told you that we have to update the map because we no longer need that, we don't have that element in our window, so we have to increment the value. Right here we were decreasing when we are moving the right pointer, then we are decreasing this value, map value, but now we are using our left pointer, then we are incrementing it, right? Same way, left plus plus. And in the else part also we have to write these 2 lines. Okay, so in both the places we are going to use this. So here, see, here I am going to check this, that this value is equal to 0. So here I found that this is equal to 0. So if that is the case, then I have to increment the count, because I have just cut down this window, this element, shrink down our window size. Okay, so now from DOB I am going to again start. So I have incremented the count as 1, and I have incremented the value C of H of left A. That is, now A value is back. It was 0, now it is back again. So this was the part. So this is what we are doing here. And now in the end, after this we have to return what? We have to return sub dot length, sub underscore length is equal to integer dot max. So here what I am checking, here I am checking that if there is no minimum value that I found other than this initial value, then in that case I am just going to return the empty string. Okay, if we didn't find any minimum window, like in this case, okay, we didn't find anything, so by default this was the value now. If I didn't find anything and this is the only value, then I have to return the empty. Otherwise I have to return but s dot substring and it is starting from start, as I already told you why I am writing it in capital, s dot substring, and it is starting from where? Start, and the how much? Sub dot length, start plus sub underscore length. Okay, so this is our complete code, and I hope that you guys are able to understand. Now let's run our code and see if there are any issues with our code. Okay, integer dot, okay, max A capital, X should be capital. Okay, and let me run it again. So all the test cases has been accepted. So now let's submit it and see the runtime of our code. So our solution is accepted and the runtime is also very good, 2 milliseconds. Okay, so I hope that you guys are able to understand today's problem, and if you guys still have any question, then please feel free to ask in comment section. Till then, keep coding and keep practicing. Thank you. Bye bye. Meet you in the next video.